Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Bottom Line Show.
Good morning, everyone. This is the Bottom Line Show with Lamar and Darren, bringing you all our stuff that we enjoy talking about this week that happened, all the current events, everything from, well, you name it, man, from the Super Bowl to Kim Potter sentencing yesterday. It's a lot of stuff this week. What you think?
Wow. So, you can start with the game. You can start with the halftime show. What was
Well,
more interesting? What was more entertaining?
we could go through just right quick,
Yeah,
just
just
touch
for you.
base.
Just for you. For like, what was more entertaining about? Was it the game itself? Was it the halftime show?
Oh, definitely the game. The game was in
Really?
it. Yeah, the game was interesting. I mean, it was great. It was a great game because I feel that for me personally, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I want these people motivated. I want to motivate it. You know what I'm saying? I want them to.
Good luck.
Good morning, Mark. Good seeing you this morning. Thank you. That's one of our faithful listeners, Mark Shock. Got Leanne Ree. How you doing, Leanne? Man, don't get me wrong. The halftime show was great. Don't get me. I mean, I've been talking about it all week, and we're gonna talk a little bit about it today. But the game itself was good because you have Cincinnati Bengals who are in the division with the Browns, and we watched them go from last place to first place, and then to the Super Bowl, and then you have the Rams who they released OBJ. He went to the Rams, and every game he had some type of you know a contribution to the team. Even in the Super Bowl, if he had not scored, they might not have won. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, he was definitely a contributor, and
So go ahead. That just pumps up me for saying I want the Browns to be better next year and hope this motivates them to be
I
better.
don't think it's going to motivate them at all. I don't think they were even paying attention because they're the Browns, and they are the most irrelevant franchise in the NFL. Um,
Well,
anyways,
I got a question for you about that though, right quick.
sure.
Okay, you're a Browns fan. Um, you
Yeah,
criticize
kind of.
you critic. Come on, man, you're a Browns fan. I know you are. If they, I mean, we. Why is it? What I see right now in our country is there's so much division over stuff. I mean, and it goes all the way back to the Trump presidency. Actually, you could go back to Obama's presidency, where you saw the division become more and more prevalent in like every issue that comes up. Now it's in football where if you like Baker, it's like you're on this side.
Oh yeah,
Or if you like OBJ, you're on this side.
yeah. Why
Why
is
is it?
that?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
It's like,
Everyone's got to have a side. Every issue has to have a side. Every news
yeah.
story has to have a side. Everything that happens has to be some sort of political thing.
And the reason why I
Um,
asked you about you being a Browns fan is that throughout our time growing up as Browns fans, haven't we criticized players that we didn't think that were producing as good or we thought could do better, and then we praised those we thought that were great? Haven't we always done that with teams?
yeah, we've always done that.
I
I mean,
mean, go
we
ahead.
talked about this before. I mean, my support of Baker Mayfield before was based on the fact that he is the best quarterback that we've had in 20 years. So
Okay.
it's you can now he deserves his criticism, but what are you going to do with that? Are you going to
Yeah.
release him? And if you do, what's your plan? The
Right.
Browns never have a plan. They say they're going to draft somebody else, and how is that going to work out for them?
Right. No, I
It's
totally get
probably
it.
90%. The chance is 90% that it's going to suck for them,
It all
and it's not
it
going to work out for
depends.
them.
That depends. That's another debate. But that's what's so great about sports. You can debate about things, but the divide that is so hateful in these conversations is like ridiculous. It's like you can't
Mhm.
have an opinion about something without someone saying you hate something or you're canceling this person. It's ridiculous, man. But anyway,
Well, we were about to run down topics. I just wanted to
I'm
see
sorry.
your reaction. I just wanted to see your reaction. Was the game or
Right.
the halftime show more entertaining? For me, it was a halftime show. I tell you what, it was a close game, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure that it was necessarily a great game, just
Oh
because
man.
it's close.
Oh, it was a great
Um,
game, man.
y-
That was good.
okay, I mean, it was a good game. I mean, I tell you what, because we are on a streaming service.
Mhm.
We got Peacock, right?
Mhm.
um, because there's a couple of shows that my wife wants to watch, and the Olympics. I've been watching a lot of Olympics, and then
Right.
NBC carried the Super Bowl, so I could
Hmm.
rewind it.
Yeah.
So I actually rewind it, and when my daughter came home, because I was by myself, when she
Hmm.
came home from play practice, we watched it again because I wanted to
Okay.
show her. And then when I turned on the game again in the third quarter, Cincinnati had scored 10 points, and it was 20-13. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? I missed it.
So
So that was my Super Bowl experience. I
what
like
did
the
you think?
halftime show better.
What did you think
I
about
like the halftime show better.
those questionable calls by the referees?
It was weird. This is another thing. It was like, well, that made it kind of a strange game for me because they didn't call in almost nothing the whole game. Then all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
calling all this stuff, and I think a little bit Cincinnati's to blame because some of those penalties were self inflicted. It
Right.
wasn't like they were calling all holding penalties and stuff that you could let go,
Right.
and then all of a sudden they were calling all this stuff. But you have to question it a little bit as to why they were all of a sudden calling penalties at the end.
Uh, it's so funny that that was the biggest complaint I heard from fans. Halftime show wasn't my kind of music. Oh, I understand that, Mark. But it was amazing. Loved it. Okay, great, awesome. Uh, the the calls at the end of the game when they were like Cooper Cup was near the end zone and they called those interference and holding plays there on the defense. It was a big thing, but you didn't hear as much about that pass that Burrow threw at the beginning of the second half to Higgins. I think it was Higgins or was it Boyd,
Hmm.
and he face masked Ramsey
Yeah.
and tossed him down. Like you don't hear as much about that. I'm like, how can you? That was blatant. It was like, how do
Because
you not call
Cincinnati
that?
lost. If they had won, then you would hear all about it.
Well, I think that a lot of people didn't like Ramsey. I think that was the issue. That he has it.
Hmm.
People.
What's wrong
He's
with
called
him?
himself the best corner, but you know. Anyway, we'll keep moving on down. We're gonna talk about embracing the culture of hip hop. As we see, it was in the Super Bowl. Over the last few years, we've seen it in corporate America. Do you think that the embrace of hip hop is really taking a new level now?
Oh, well, yeah. Is it a new level now because of the Super Bowl? Is it a new level now before this? Because
Before,
I
I
think
mean,
it was
just in
before
general.
this, like
Yeah,
before this, like
right.
especially in the last decade, probably the last 20 years.
Right.
Because as we talked about this week, there's a lot of white people and a lot of any race
Yeah.
who have embraced hip hop culture or hip hop music.
Right.
I don't know about hip hop culture, whatever that is, but hip hop music. I would say that they like it. They enjoy it. They listen to it, even though it
Hmm.
doesn't express their lived experience or life story. That they like to listen to it anyways.
Right.
I mean, maybe starting with Eminem. Was that? I don't know. Was it? Did it begin with him? Did sort of like a cross, or did it begin more with way back with Run DMC? What was it?
I mean, I
Did-
saw the crossover years ago.
I mean,
Run
in
DMC
in
was one
high
of the.
school, I had friends that were listening to LL Cool J and
Yeah.
buying his stuff.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well, I could go
okay,
back to Run DMC. You could take it all the way back there because Run DMC was one of my favorite groups. But when I went to the concerts, like I got a fourth row seat at one concert with one of our classmates, and this was like as an adult. I was like 19 at the time, and I was amazed at the front row. The first three rows were all white people. The whole first four rows,
wow,
and it was at the front row, so it was like a circular, intimate, more closer setting. And I was like, wow. I'm like, wow, how did they get those tickets? We got ours early, I'm like, how did I not get tickets like that? I mean, we were like way early for this concert. I mean, like we got them like months and months in advance. And so, yeah, hip hop has advanced, but what made it more embracing, which we'll talk more later, also is corporate America. I think that's what changed it for everybody.
interesting.
And what was that Harry said? I missed that.
Hip hop. Those of
Hey,
us of a certain age that use the term embrace, but I think that hip hop transitioned to pop, so that is why it is more acceptable.
totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. It has evolved to more of a hip hop. I mean, more of a pop culture now with hip hop. It's like the culture of it has changed.
Okay.
And I think that had a lot to do with it transitioning through corporate America as well. And like I said, we can get into that some more. One of the
Yeah, we're going
most,
to talk about that. We had some interesting things to exchange in our weekly meetings
yeah,
this week, and so I wanted to include it in our show today.
the teen fight at the mall in New Jersey. Interesting, very interesting. Now, the thing about that, I had a debate online with some good friends of mine who said, I mean, I'm still struggling with this one issue, and it's like in
Okay.
every issue that we have, especially when it's race related. How can two people see the same exact thing and come away with two vastly different perspectives? I struggle with that thought. It just don't make sense to me.
Hmm.
But I've heard people say that one of the students just sat down
Yep.
and the other student was resisting. I didn't see any one of those. And we're going to show the video today and we're going to break that down. What was your initial thoughts when you saw that?
I think it was terrible. From what the videos said, they were both fighting. They were both, um, there wasn't anybody that was the more aggressor. If anything, what might have been the white student. So
Yeah.
I think that it would have been appropriate to break them up, separate them, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But instead, the black student was treated very, very wrongly.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah. So the Olympic
In
scandal,
my view,
isn't it always an Olympic scandal? Is that the hot thing
there's
now?
always an Olympic scandal.
Is that the new
So
hot thing
what
though?
would the Olympics be without a scandal?
Does it go all the way back to what's the guy, the swimmer that smoked weed?
Oh, it goes back way before that. It was Tanya and
Tanya
Nancy
Harding.
Harding,
Yes.
and
How did I forget about that?
there was a pair skating in 20 years ago in 2002
What
in
about Ben
Utah.
Johnson? Remember Ben
Ben
Johnson?
Johnson, that was another one.
Yeah. So it's like
That was
so many.
that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So yeah, this goes back
It's always
go
something,
back
huh?
pretty far. I mean,
Do you think it was more interesting because it's the Russians
yes,
and
yes, it
they have
is
a
because of
history
what's
of
going on
doping?
in the world and the history of doping, how they're already sort of half suspended, anyways. So, I just thought it was a big story this week. There's a lot to talk about. Shakari Richardson came out in
Yeah,
criticism
saw
of the decision to let her skate. So, yeah, I got a lot of thoughts about that.
that. And then we got the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. You know what? Do you remember growing up? Everybody thought that they were like the hottest cheerleaders, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Remember you were younger?
Well, they were one of a kind. Like I think they were the first to like add cheerleaders to professional football. Might have been
Were they?
was it professional sports? Period. I mean,
Were they?
now that's
I'm
like I
not
don't
sure.
like now. I know that most of the NBA teams I think do have cheerleaders or some sort of
Cheerleaders and
dancers
dance
or
squad. Yeah.
dancers. Like
Yeah.
I think the LA Lakers have had dancers for years, but
Yeah. They had a
not every team has them, of course.
yeah.
But Dallas had one. So yeah, like growing up, there was like um, it was an edgy thing. So
Yeah. So now there's scandal amongst the cheerleaders. That's
somebody was
crazy.
caught. One of the one of the Cowboy uh, execs or one of the
Yeah. Yeah.
people in the
Somebody
front
under
office
Jerry
was caught
Jones.
trying to voyeurism, get a shot of them dressing, undressing. Come on.
Yeah.
This,
It's not
what
necessary.
is this high school?
Freaking pervert.
Is this middle? Is this not even high school? It's middle school and stuff. I
Right,
mean, this
right.
is
And we'll see how Jerry Jones handles this. Then we have the release of Vincent Simmons. He was
seven.
released.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. 7 NFL teams that don't have cheerleaders. The
Well,
Browns, for
the
one.
Browns don't. Maybe if they
I
got
don't.
some,
The
they'll be better.
Bengals don't. I think
No,
the
the Bengals
Rams
have the
do.
Bengals have cheerleaders.
The Bengals do.
The
Okay.
Bengals have cheerleaders. Yes.
The Steelers don't. I know
You
that.
know what? How did I?
The Ravens. Do the Ravens have it?
Do you know? It's
I'm
not
just going through the
surprising.
list here.
It's not surprising that Jeff would know what teams have cheerleaders. You
Well,
didn't just Google.
we're gonna look that up. We're gonna look that up. Go ahead.
And then we have Kim Potter. She was sentenced yesterday to an amazing 2 years in prison for killing Dante Wright by accident by using a taser. Um, People are kind of upset about this one. Look,
And
you like
as they
you were
should
lost
be, I
there for a
think.
minute. You was looking something up real quick. I saw you. I saw the reflection in your glasses.
I got to do the research here.
Right, right.
I was looking up NFL teams don't have cheerleaders, but no, I mean I think that Kim Potter, um, she got a light sentence.
Yeah.
She got a light sentence, and she was emotional about it. And was the judge swayed about it? Did the judge listen to the victim's family enough? I don't
I've
know.
seen some people do some things like I know somebody that's in prison right now for life in
Okay,
Florida. He was walking down the street, leaving a club, and there were some foreigners from Germany, some tourists from Germany. This happened in Miami. I think it was Miami.
okay,
And these tourists were um, homosexual men who were just having a good time coming out of this club. And I guess they said something to this guy who was walking down the street, and he kept saying, "Leave me alone." I guess he just wanted to be bothered. I mean, he had his reasons, whatever. He didn't want to be bothered. But they kept picking, like they were drunk, I said, just having a good time, loud and obnoxious coming out of the club. And they kept picking with this guy as he walked. And he couldn't really understand what they were saying because they were speaking in another language, but they were like,
okay.
one of them pushed him in the back or something. And the guy turned around and beat one of them up and killed him. He beat him to death. And I don't think it was something that was on purpose. I think it was like an accidental beating. But I feel that whatever he had going on that day, whatever his mood was, whatever it was, he kept saying, "Leave me alone," and he overreacted, in my opinion. I don't think it was intentional that he set out to kill somebody that night or to beat
Okay.
up on somebody. I'm not saying he should definitely have had prison time, but he got life, and they've been
Hmm.
fighting for a while to get to overturn this or get it
Interesting.
get the sentence and change. This happened back in like the late 90s and late 90s, early 2000s, and he got life in prison.
Wow.
And there was no sympathy in the case of, I didn't mean to do this. I didn't know a guy was going to hit his head on the concrete. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I didn't know this was going to happen. And there was no sympathy in that case. It was like, let's talk about this. And it wasn't.
Wow.
So,
I think
but
in
that's
today's
the
age,
law.
maybe things might be different today.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But we're going to dig into Kim Potter and look at her situation. The first lady, Michelle Obama, has a series coming out, but she's not
Actually,
playing in it.
it looks like it's all the, or not all of the first ladies, but a lot of the more famous first ladies are
Famous
featured.
first ladies, yeah.
So Michelle Obama is portrayed, and
Yes.
actually, she looks very, very similar. It's like,
Yeah. And
wow.
it was Viola Davis is playing Michelle Obama.
Yeah, so I got to look at. I mean, she looks exactly like Michelle Obama.
Yeah. I think the way the advertisement is, it makes it look like it's a trailer, it's a
So,
series more so about Michelle Obama.
oh,
But
really?
yeah,
Okay, because
no,
the
no, you're
trailer that
right.
we
You
watched
watch, you
was like,
watch, you're
oh,
right.
I thought maybe it was about Michelle Obama.
No,
No,
no, you're
I
right.
guess it's about several of the first ladies.
Yes, you're
So it's
absolutely
probably
right.
very, very good.
Well, that's what I was saying. The trailer makes it look, or the picture for the trailer makes it look like it's a Michelle
Okay,
Obama type series.
okay, okay,
And that's what I thought until we watched the trailer.
okay.
And so it's gonna be an interesting show, man. Let's dig in. What's our Black History Spotlight for today?
Okay. So, um, as you know, it's Black History Month.
Yeah.
So, a couple of people of note uh, that I found today that I didn't know a lot about. We have Carter G. Woodson. It's not coming up. There.
Yeah.
Carter G. Woodson was a man credited for beginning Black History Month. It started out as a week This is back in 1926 that it started as a Black History Week and then became a Black History Month. Woodson believed rather than only focusing on a few men and women in history that the Black community should focus on, quote, the countless Black men and women around the world who had contributed to the advancement of human civilization. So we can kind of
Right.
credit him for beginning this movement. So that was almost 100 years ago in 1926.
Yeah.
We think of it kind of as a new thing, like Black History Month, but it's not.
Yeah.
Um, Another person of note, this is uh, Josephine Baker. You might have
Yeah.
heard of her. Um, Josephine Baker was an actress uh, around World War II times.
Yeah.
She actually expatriated to France. And one thing I didn't, so I knew a lot about her. One thing I didn't know about her, she famously smuggled military intelligence to the French allies during World
Yeah.
War II. So she's a war hero, an ally hero. Um, Interestingly, she did this by pinning secrets inside of her dress, as well as hiding them in sheet music because she was a singer, performer, actress.
And you know,
So go ahead.
no, I'm saying that people don't realize that she was like one of the that was like the first black superstar, 1925.
Yes.
She's doing some amazing things, and she's also, she was a dancer, singer,
Yes, she was a
and you would be
dancer.
and I think she was one of the first like stars that moved. Did she move out of the country? I think did she move to Europe or something at one time? She
Well,
moved
she
out of
moved
the
to
United States,
France. I thought
moved
she
to
was
France,
French.
but didn't she live here for a while?
Hmm.
And then
Yes.
she moved back when I guess she did some of the issues that were going on in the United States, but she moved out. But I do have a clip of her dancing. She's like the original, one of the original people that was doing the Charleston back in the 1920s. This is a picture,
Really?
this is a video of her. Yeah.
I
Man,
think some of that was on repeat, right?
yeah, it looks like it,
It's
didn't
like,
it? I can't repeat where they're with the cross eyes, But yeah, I just found that video. But there's quite a few other
okay, that
videos.
was interesting.
There's some other videos of her, but I think she had what was this right here? I'm looking
I
at
might have seen that before, anyways.
Beyonce. Beyonce played Josephine Baker. It was a Netflix.
Really? I didn't know that.
It
Okay.
says Meet
Must
the
have been
Original
before I had
Beyonce.
Netflix.
No, they're saying she's a Beyonce would be considered like the Josephine Baker of our time, by her
Oh,
as her being this dancer, singer, the superstar. But I gotta read this little. I was just going through some stuff on YouTube, and I happen to see this clip, and it looks like Beyonce. And it says, okay, they were saying GL Josephine Baker is being known as the original diva, and they're comparing that to Beyonce.
okay.
But she was a beautiful woman. She was talented. She danced. She sang. And I was looking for one of her singing, and I didn't pull one up. But I was just doing something as we were going through the list here. But what was this that what was this Jeffrey said? You see the trailer for Peel's Nope film based on the Black Horse Trainers. I gotta check that one out. I haven't seen that
Yeah,
yet.
I've seen a lot of trailers for that. And I don't know what that film is. It looks good, but I'm not quite sure what it's about. It's
Yeah, I
supposed to
gotta
come
check
out in the
that out.
summer, but
This
it looks
summer?
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that one, man. That Peel's, what is it? A horse? I'm just gonna just see what comes up, and I'm looking up. But yeah, but Josephine Baker, you were saying, part of our Black history. I just cut you off to show you that video right quick, but you can finish up. I'm sorry about that.
There's finally our third focus today is the 6,888 division in the Army. Was an all women black unit who had a unique mission to try and clear out the mail and packages that were piling up at the end of World War II. So there was like a 6-month backlog, I think, or was it
Okay.
2 years? Like a 2-year backlog of packages headed to the Allied troops in Europe, and they helped clear it out. Um, as you can imagine, after Normandy, they landed in France, and then the troops were scattered here and there. So part of their effort was to help deliver packages.
That's something else that was
And that
missing
is
out of our
something I
history.
never heard about this group before. So
Yeah.
there was an all black women's corps um, that did this. So very interesting to me.
Of all the people we learned about, these that were in the military and famous people that were part of our armed forces, I can't recall growing up and hearing of any black armed force heroes growing up. I can't think of any. You know,
So you mean like Tuskegee Airmen? Nothing like that. You didn't
but
hear?
we didn't learn about that in school.
No,
That's what
no,
I'm
we
saying.
didn't.
I
Okay.
learned about all these things as an adult. Um, like the Tuskegee Airmen is a prime example. I mean, how could you not have them in there? And they had the one called the. You ever heard of Henry Johnson?
Harry Johnson?
Henry Johnson.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he was in the armed forces. I think it was the army, but he was a war hero. And it was like I'm learning about him recently because I'm in the
Hmm.
Henry Johnson Gun Club, and
Oh,
it's a majority African American gun club, and it's named after Henry Johnson. And it's like, wow, I never even heard of this guy. You know, so you think about like you just mentioned these young ladies here, and you're like,
good morning,
wow, what
John.
happened? Hey, John, how you doing? And it's amazing that we come up with all these stories now of war heroes, and we never had an opportunity to learn about these as we grew up.
We learned very little about anything to do with segregation in school, especially related to military and the war effort.
Right.
Is that two different things? Segregation in schools and the military and war effort?
Well,
Or
a lot of
is he putting that together?
well, you think about it during that time, during World War II, especially, and moving toward the civil rights movement, segregation was really bad during that time. And then you think about those war heroes that came back. You had to think about it. You were there
So he's
fighting
saying that the
next.
reason why we didn't learn about a lot of that stuff is because of
Oh, because of
segregation?
segregation. Yes, yes, I agree.
Okay, now I understand what
But
he's saying. Okay, thank
but
you.
but you think about when he mentioned that segregation part. I'm saying that when these soldiers came back, they came back to that segregated community when they fought a lot of times side by side with you know white soldiers just like them.
Hmm. Hmm.
During wartime. I mean, you ever watched the one with Cuba Gooding? What was it, Red Tails?
I never saw that. I never saw that.
Really
Is it
amazing
good?
movie. Yes, amazing,
Okay.
amazing movie. I actually like that better than the Tuskegee Airman film.
Okay.
It was amazing, man.
Okay.
It was amazing. But yeah, man, let's go ahead. Go back
Here
to
he
the
says he
top, man.
didn't learn he learned very little about segregation. I would agree. I didn't learn a lot about segregation. Um,
The first time I learned about segregation, or not segregation more so, but integration, integrating the schools,
mhm.
was in 1977. I went to a majority all black elementary school in Cleveland, and my mom and dad moved to Bedford Heights
Okay.
because that's when they started busing around that time. So they were busing us. My mom didn't want us to get bused to the west side to go to school because they were going to start the busing thing. So she didn't. I was walking to school from my grandmother's house,
Okay.
and she wanted me to. She didn't want me to get bused going to the west side. So we moved to get into a local school district, and I didn't really understand what this was about. I didn't understand. I just thought
Huh.
that they're just going to change our school and send us to the west side. I
Okay.
didn't realize sending us to the west side because they was integrating the schools more, or getting
Wow.
them more integrated.
Okay.
That was in '77. That's our generation, during
Yeah.
our time in school.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know
And that's
this.
how I ended up in Bedford Heights. Yeah. We moved there to not just for that, but that was one of the factors.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Interesting.
Yeah.
We should. Yeah.
Let's get into this halftime show, man. Let's get it, man. Let's go do it.
Okay. Well, one of the things that Mark said it well. I enjoyed it, and I don't really listen to that music, and
Yeah.
I kind of thinking to myself, well, then why do I enjoy it so much? So I kind of got a little bit more interested in. I started looking up things about NWA, trying to find out some more information about like what I was not paying attention to,
Mhm.
at the time when these artists were coming up and doing their thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start listening to more of it. I
What do
thought it
you
was a great. I mean, as far as the show, as far as the quality of the show, as far as the production value and the entertainment value, I thought it was top notch. I thought it was up
Yeah.
there with Prince, and that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Michael Jackson went in '93. I don't really remember that. That was a
That
while
was
ago.
nice. That was nice too.
So it was up there with those kind of shows for me. I thought Bruno Mars did a great
Yeah, that was
halftime show.
awesome.
So as far as like production value, this is one of the top, and that I think that's important for me. It's like if this is the halftime show, you want to put on a show. I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily a huge Beyonce fan or a
Yeah.
huge J Lo fan, but they put on a show. So I
Yeah.
want to see a show. I want to see the lights. I want to see the costumes. I want to see the dancers. I want to see I want to see a big show, and that's what they provided.
Yeah.
So
I think that a lot of that had to do with what we were talking about embracing the hip hop culture. If you think about it, this was the first concert that was showcased by several hip hop artists. Now you've had excuse me, you've had Super Bowls where and hip hop artists came out and was a feature, you know. So if you think about what you saw on last Sunday, that whole basically the theme as the first hip hop Super Bowl halftime show, it was historical, but I think it ties back into the corporate side. I mean, look who sponsored it,
interesting.
Pepsi. Pepsi sponsored that. I
Yeah,
remember
they've had a stranglehold on that for forever, for a long time.
right, but the
So
still
I mean,
what I'm saying is
they're gonna put their
corporate.
name out there.
So then you think of the first rapper I remember seeing that I can recall in a commercial started back in the 80s with Ice Cube with St. Ides beer. But the difference was how many people remember a Saint have you ever
I
heard
don't
of St.
remember
Ides
that.
beer? That's what I'm saying. You don't even
I
remember it. But
have, yes, but
but that
at the
was
time I don't remember that in the 80s.
see,
No.
rappers were always affiliated with malt liquor. That's all you saw them in commercials with liquor or some type of
Yeah.
alcohol
Right. Right.
commercials. And so that was one of the things that pushed that it irked me because I'm saying like, why does this bad light have to shine on the hip hop culture? So
Hmm. Okay.
that's where they was able to make their money at. So now you look at it with corporate companies. I look at like the first time I saw Snoop in a commercial was an Office Max commercial. I got to find that one. He was in the Office Max commercial. I was like, okay, they're changing it. They're changing this a little bit. They're crossing it over. This was back early 2000s. And so you see more and more and more of the, like I said, corporate products and things of that nature where you have that crossover.
Okay.
If you're not, think about your first understanding of anything is usually through commercials, advertisement. Before you learn anything, it's about advertisement. So,
Interesting.
so that goes back
Uh,
to this halftime show. That's what made it so huge.
so what you're saying is that corporations have embraced it. The corporate culture has now embraced. Is it because of the halftime show? Is it because of
No,
this? I mean, I think it did happen before that, didn't it?
no. What I'm saying is that because of corporate America, it's more accepted for this type of show. If it wasn't for if it wasn't for the
Okay.
fact that they were spending money into hip hop music, I mean, go to a, a any type of corporate event. It's something hip hop is somewhere there in that mix. It's
Okay.
usually for entertainment to get people excited, get people up and moving, dancing of some sort, you know. But that's where it
Okay.
starts at. You know, music crosses over, but when you see it on TV crossing over, that's when you know money's being made. And then that allow you to have these opportunities. You know, you've
Hmm.
seen think about
But
it.
then they censored some of what they said. So
And one other thing with that,
or
I just think
asked
back
them
at
not
Snoop.
to say certain things
Go back
or
to
do
Snoop for a
certain
second.
things.
Think about Snoop for a second. Where was the first time people who never heard of Snoop Dogg, like say in the last say 10 to 15 years, where was the first time they heard about him? Especially like say
He's
from
done
a
a lot of
white community.
commercials now. He's done a
But
lot of
what was his
commercials now.
most popular relationship?
I don't know.
Martha Stewart.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
There was people just because of that relationship had never heard of him. That was a crossover move for him right there. You know,
I
that
get that. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah, you're
that's
right. You're right. You're
just
right. Hmm.
think of her audience. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're like, wow, who is this Snoop Dogg dude? They both smoking weed on camera. You know, who is this? You know, it was like incredible. You know, it's like people were like, what are they doing? But if he
Did-
had did that with someone else, it wouldn't have been as acceptable,
Okay.
especially for
We
TV.
have we have a couple things going on here. I have to push back on 50 Cent on the
Okay.
comments going on here that that he's 80 Cent now. I mean, we can't don't
He was
shame
a
the guy.
he
Don't
was a
shame the
buck.
guy.
He was a buck and a
Don't
half on
shame
that.
the guy.
He was a buck and a half on
Oh,
that
come
time
on, man.
halftime show. Though. I'm just playing.
So what?
I'm just picking, man.
Leave him
That was
alone.
the
Leave him
biggest joke.
alone.
That was one of the biggest jokes though about that though. About his
And
it was that one
the other
what
thing
they
is that
say $1.25 inflation. Joe Elder. Oh
I mean,
man.
the other thing there was apparently a video. Speaking of weed and speaking of Snoop Dogg, apparently there was a video of him smoking a blunt before the show, like right before the show.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Is that really big news
I
in
mean, for
LA?
real? Did that really
Is that
happen? Is that
you you think about it? That's his brand, and you're in a state where it's legal. I mean, like,
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying he you know that it would be caught on film and he knows what people are going to say.
yeah,
Maybe he just doesn't care then, huh? Oh, here's another thing. So he's wearing that blue and white or blue and yellow thing. I
yeah.
thought that was because he was a Rams fan. He's an LA guy.
Well,
He's
that too, that too.
he's an LA guy and I'm thinking, okay, he's a Rams fan.
Yeah,
But someone had to tell me or I watched a video that said that was a Crip thing. So
yeah. That's their colors, blue. So he couldn't wear the bandana, so he
so
made
he
a whole
decided to wear the
suit.
sweter.
The whole
The whole
suit was made out of
He said,
that
I'm gonna do
bandana.
one. Okay, I can't wear a bandana, so I'm gonna go do you one better."
What did Leanne say? Think the bigger story would have been Snoop not smoking before the show. Yeah. Oh man,
Well, I
that's
mean,
funny.
so to get all those people together who are all legends, I
Yeah,
think it was pretty exhilarating. The only thing that I would have changed is to have him do one big song at the end when they all came together on stage. I thought they were going to do one more, like and they were all joining together.
yeah. I thought
Um,
you were going to continue that song.
So
It was still about
that would have
Dre.
been the only thing that I wanted to see.
Yeah,
I loved the dancing that they highlighted. I like the different styles that you
yeah.
saw um, that they all presented well. You know, they all presented their own thing,
Right.
um, eh, their own variety, their own spin on things. So I really enjoyed it.
I think that we could have on that. Everyone wanted more out of that. Everybody wanted more out of that Super Bowl.
It
It's like
seems
it wasn't
shorter.
enough. But then I like how they was able. What I like most about it was that they highlighted Dr. Dre. It was almost like they were showing homage to him because he had had some type of involvement with all these artists. And
Right.
if you know, like at the end, they came back at the end with the song "Still About Dre"
Right.
because they let you know that I'm still here, I'm still doing my thing. So, with that being said, I do have a video I'd like to bring up of him talking a little about post Super Bowl, and
Yeah,
this happened.
there was a lot of comments in our comments about like what was allowed, what was not allowed. So this addresses some of that. So
Yeah, he had that in there, and this was actually at his house. I assume it was at his house. I was looking at this building, man. Just the little bit I can see, I'm like, man, this is massive. But he's talking. I think it's an interview with TMZ. So I'm gonna give got to get a shout out to TMZ for posting the video. But this is the Snoop Dogg. I mean, Dr. Dre video that we put up.
There were a couple of things that happened during the show that where people are wondering if the NFL had any say-so in this. One of them being M taking a knee behind you at that point, and then the other being that Kendrick didn't say it or it was censored. We couldn't tell watching on TV, but there's a line where he says, "We hate the popo," and he didn't say popo, or at least we didn't hear it. Did the NFL weigh in on any of that?
Well, I'm sorry. There were a few things that we had to change, but it was like really minor things. M taking the knee, that was M doing that on his own, and there was no problem with that. I think, the beginning of Kendrick's sets, he says if Pyrus and Crips they had a problem with that, so we had to take that out. No big deal. We get it. But all in all, everybody came in, we were professional, everybody was on time, and everybody really felt the magnitude of what this thing was and what we were going to be able to accomplish. And it was a fantastic experience.
We actually were going to put you at the top of the show, but you weren't available because I'm told you wanted to make a Burger King run because you hadn't had Burger King in so long because you wanted to be in shape for the show.
You know what? My trainer is going to be upset about this conversation. But, and by the way, Harvey, I made a turn. Instead of Burger King, I went to McDonald's. There's something about those McDonald's French fries.
The fries, right.
Those fries.
You know how many people have been there?
I'm like, I deserve it today. I'm gonna treat myself and go on a pig out today.
That is hysterical. I think no one's gonna. You definitely earned that, man. Have all the McDonald's you want. You could have had both. Had McDonald's and Burger King. Hey,
right.
Just real quick, what did everybody else say? What did Mary J. Blige? What did Eminem? What did Snoop? What did they say to you? How did they react afterward?
Let me tell you, man. Everybody was extremely excited. Mary came back here to the house last night, and we went downstairs to the studio. She was playing me samples, and we were just vibing out because we're talking about working together on her next project. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be saying this or not, so I'm sorry, Mary. But I'm excited about it. We're talking about working on her next project, and we were downstairs having a ton of fun, man, just listening to samples and music and playing around like that. And Don Cheeto came over, and he's just like one of my favorite actors. So I just had a house full of amazing talent, and that's all we did. Just sat in the studio and played music and had fun dancing around.
One thing he didn't mention, and they didn't even ask the question. This is what gets me about reporters. Now, Dre had a hey, oops moment too, if you want to call it that. They did not want him to say about still not caring about the police. He said still not loving the police.
Don't like the police.
Still not loving the police. And they didn't even ask him about that question because they didn't want him to say that either. But he stuck it in there anyway when he did his verse. But it's good to see this opportunity come in for them. All these opportunities. And for those that didn't know, the first song that Mary J. Blige sang on Sunday was produced by Dre, That Family Affair. So now they're saying about doing a project together. I just saw her on the Breakfast Club yesterday on the video, and post Super Bowl, and she's talking about they're vibing and getting together on this collaboration, this project. So it's gonna be pretty awesome. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I would like to see these people come together again, at least two of them, and do something together. I think that would be great.
Right.
I thought what Dre and Snoop Dogg did together at the beginning was terrific.
Yeah.
They seem like they've been, uh, natural partners. I think, but
Well, think about it. They've been together for like what, 20 something years, 30, almost 30 years, So he the one that brought Snoop out, you know what I'm saying? So it's I mean, it's like it should work seamless with them because that same song they done together because that was on the album, the Chronic.
okay,
And then you had the Dre Day album. So it's like they
well, I didn't know that.
yeah, the songs they sang together was part of the albums.
Okay,
That was part of Dre's album, yeah. And so then he produced Snoop's album, you know what I'm saying?
okay.
So yeah, so they've been together like forever. He brought them out, So it's like that would be a natural fit for them. Now, the other artists you think about, you think, he produced Eminem, 50 Eminem's from Detroit. The Chronic 2001, yes, that was one of the best albums ever made. And then you have Eminem in Detroit. He produced him, and then 50 Cent's from Detroit. So he's actually from New York, but he produced 50 Cent's album. So that's how all of them came about. And then the only connection with Mary was that the Family Affair album, because Mary had different producers on projects, and she was on
Okay.
Motown Records. So when she first came out with not Motown, but with Andre Harrell, Uptown Records.
Okay.
So there was a connection with them, but then that all just came together for Super Bowl Sunday to a fabulous, like really fabulous show, in my opinion. When we talked about earlier about embracing the culture, that's another good conversation. And we briefly mentioned it earlier, and we had this conversation on Thursday, and we talked a little bit about it today with corporate America. But embracing the culture, like, what does that mean to you? When you hear people say embracing hip hop culture, what do you think of that, or what are your perspective on that?
Wow. I'd have to, I kind of typed that in there, embrace of hip hop culture, but then I didn't really think about what that would entail because I'm not sure if I could answer what hip hop culture would be necessarily. There's it's a lot of different things. That's probably not, and I'd probably be not the one to
Let's just
describe
go.
it. So
Let's
I
go
don't
by
know.
assumption. Like, if I say what is hip hop culture, what would the first thing that pop off of Darren's head? Give me three things off of your head that you would consider as hip hop culture.
Well, I would say that like the music of the street, sort of the music of the people, like a self-expression, um, uh, sort of a grassroots sort of efforts, you know. Um, hip hop culture like tells it as it is, so they're not going to um, they're gonna give it to you straight. So
Right.
it's something that uh, it's not going to be edited down or trying to appeal to people. They're gonna give it to you raw, and that's its appeal.
Right.
So and it's just it's a cool beat. It's a cool vibe. It's style. You know, there's a style to it, and
You go ahead.
people um people people feel it. People for various reasons. I think there's a rebellious vibe against authority, and people. I think that speaks to people.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about, like, when I think of hip hop culture, I think about everything from dress, how people dress. Think about the clothing styles of hip hop artists. Yeah, that exactly, Jeff. Fashion. When you think about fashion, what's trendy? I mean, think about it. this was one example that people talked about was like back in the day, you know, people wore hoodies, but no one really looked at the hoodies as being a fashion thing or trendy thing. When the hip hop culture took on the wearing hoodies all the time, it became a trendy thing. It became trendy where it was like, wow, this is something that's evolving. And
Okay.
so hoodies became this thing. You look at sneakers, tennis shoes. Who made tennis shoes fashionable? Hip hop culture.
Yes.
Every slang. Slang is part of hip hop culture.
So it's like it's language, it's style.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. So it's beyond the music. So when you say embracing the hip hop culture, you look at everything like not just the music, but like I said, the whole culture of it. Like I said, clothing is like one of the biggest things. You look at just look at commercials on TV. You could pick any commercial, and I'm saying you will find, I ain't gonna say any commercial, but a lot of commercials, your most popular ones are going to have something that's from a hip hop culture. And from even dance, what's been more trendier than dance and hip hop music? And so
Yeah.
when you look at that embracing, it's like it's hitting every ethnic group of people across the globe. I mean, did you see the what do you call it? Did you see the Pro Bowl?
I didn't see the Pro Bowl.
Really? I didn't
Nope.
either.
I didn't watch the Pro
I
Bowl.
didn't see. I didn't even see it either. But I did find something that was pretty cool though, which I didn't realize till after the fact. You had this dance group up there, and this is the first time I think related to the NFL. You had, and I'm not going to play all of this. This was the first time that I think the NFL had something surround like a focus point on hip hop dance. And I saw it with this group called the Jabberwockies. And I'm just going to
Oh, I
share
love them. I love them.
Yeah. So they're like one of the most popular, but
They're actually they're Asian.
yeah, they're
by the
Asian
way.
group. Well, I think they've kind of evolved a little. They've kind of evolved a little bit. I think they got
They've had some rotating members in and out of that group. I
Yeah.
actually saw them in concert once in Las
Did you
Vegas.
really? I've been
Yeah.
wanting to see them, man. They are awesome. But they performed at the Pro Bowl, which I'm going to share.
I'm
with you guys.
gonna have to check that out. Share
Yeah,
it,
I'm going to just
please.
share a little bit of it right quick with you. But this is from the Pro Bowl, the Jabberwockies. I was like, wow, so that was kind of like in sync with this halftime show. I can't imagine it. They brought the Jabberwockies on just out of the blue. I think it had to be some connection there. But here's a little bit of the Jabberwockies.
that on my shoulder. Could you press it up for me? If you feeling like a kid, go on, put your shoulders on. Ladies is kids too, go on, put your shoulders on. This is crazy, baby, don't forget that boy told you kid. Turn up your shoulders. If you feeling like a kid, go on, put your shoulders on. Ladies is kids too, go on, put your shoulders off. This is crazy, baby, don't forget that boy told you. Turn up your shoulders.
Yeah, some
So
of
that
that
was
was
a
starting
little
to
bit
break
of
up, but
Jabberwocky
it's
there.
very, very cool. The
didn't show the
Jabberwockies
whole
have
thing.
that iconic mask on, and so they all kind of look the same, and it adds to their appeal. It's their thing.
And what was that
They actually
dance
had a
show they
lot
were
of
on
extra
back in the day?
dancers. What?
What was the dance show they were on back in the day? They got famous from a dance show.
America's Best Dance Crew they were on. They won it. I think it was in the second season.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
Anyways,
But
they're
that
kind
just
of
show you
legendary.
that shows you how it evolves, you know. Like I said, it's an Asian group that just like came out. And there's a lot of Asians in hip hop, by the way. I got a buddy of mine that lives in Japan. He talks about it all the time, the music, the dancing, and everything they're doing over in Japan. But
Well, the hip hop dancing is taken off as its own thing, and almost separate from the music. There's people that do that, and they do that professionally, and it's taken on its own. There's different styles of hip hop dancing. There's all kinds of named dances and things like that. And it started in the breakdancing days, and you saw many of those similar moves that they were doing.
yeah,
So
you think about, we were talking about the cheerleaders and everything, and sports teams, their teams.
mhm.
Every dance team, where is hip hop not involved in any
And the
pro
dance teams,
football?
yeah.
The cheerleaders, everything from cheerleading to the dance teams is all hip hop related. So it has
So
evolved. Like I
it's
said,
filtered into culture. In other words, hip hop is filtered into entertainment culture.
yeah, because of what? It's a moneymaker. It's the moneymaker.
So
So
Jeff asked, can you name 7? He must have known this because he asked the question, can you name 7 NFL teams that do not have cheerleaders? There's only 6 that do not have it. The Bills, the Bears, the Browns, the Packers, the Giants, and the Steelers.
all the legendary teams, right?
So a lot of the old teams, a lot of the classic teams are like, oh, we don't need that probably, And
Yeah.
so there you go. There's only 6 NFL
Yeah.
teams that don't have cheerleaders.
When you think about it, the teams that don't have cheerleaders have legendary records of winning seasons back before cheerleaders really were
Because they
popular.
didn't need it, right?
They didn't need them.
Teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're like, we got to get somebody here to our games,
Yeah.
That was
And
before
think about
it was
it.
good, of course. So.
The Cowboys weren't winning back in those early days.
No, the Cowboys were sorry.
Right. That's
for
what I'm saying.
For a while.
When they got cheerleaders, they started winning in the 70s.
Cold weather teams. That's another point.
Mm-hmm.
Northern teams, cold weather teams. Because
Yeah.
you're not going to have in Buffalo. You're not going to have girls dancing in bikinis.
Right.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny. What do we got next, man? On our banners there, the teen fight at the New Jersey Mall.
Well, we have a video to show about this, and then we'll talk about it. My mouse is a bit slow, so I apologize. I have to click on things. I need to get a new mouse. Okay.
Actually, John Stahl is on the. He's listening to the call. He's one of the guys I was debating with yesterday over this.
Okay.
Like, man.
Tonight, the police response to a fight at a New Jersey mall has prompted an internal investigation after 2 officers handcuffed and pinned a black teen to the floor while allowing another teen involved to sit on a couch. The black teen's family is now demanding the officers be fired. Here's CBS's Jerika Duncan.
This video of 2 teens fighting inside a New Jersey mall has sparked outrage. 2 officers intervened. 1 teen was allowed to sit on the sofa. The black teen was placed in handcuffs with both officers kneeling on his back.
It's because he's black.
What was your initial reaction to that video?
Anger, hurt, disgust, disappointment.
Ebony, who does not want to use her last name, says her 8th grade son Zakai did not resist as officers handcuffed him.
It made me feel like they were agreeing to me being inferior to him.
Zakai, who is 14, says he was trying to stop his 7th grade friend from being bullied by a 15-year-old named Joseph.
I did not bully, tease them.
We spoke to Joseph, who says he's Hispanic.
I was confused why they were retaining him and not me. I even offered to get detained when I was on the couch. I put my hands up like this and I said, you guys could detain me. But she said no, because you were calm.
Both officers are under investigation. Police did not charge the teens. Still, Ebony wants the officers to be held accountable and worries about her son.
Have you ever had the conversation with your son about being a young man and being seen by some potentially as a threat?
Absolutely. You have to have the "You're a Black man in America" talk to every boy.
Jerika Duncan, CBS News, New York.
So do you remember when your dad had to talk with you about being a black man in America?
Yeah, it wasn't as detailed as the one I had to have with my son, 20 something odd years later.
Okay.
But the one thing my dad was telling me about was interaction with the police while I was driving.
Okay.
I'm a mouthy person, I'm always gotta, stand up for my rights type person.
No.
Oh yeah. And it's been that way. What I am now is what I've been with since a kid. And I'm probably one of the mouthiest people in my family when it comes down to saying what you believe you have a right to say. And he always told me that will either benefit me in life and society, or it's going to hurt me in life and society.
Okay.
And so it has done both. I've gotten in trouble with my mouth, and I've been very successful because of my mouth. And with the police is one of the things that I didn't, it was hard on me at first.
Okay.
Until I had to learn how to use my mouth to my advantage and not to allow it to hurt me.
And what did you say to your son when he came of age? It
got deeper because by then, when my son started driving and 2000, what was it, 2009, 10,
Okay.
graduated 2010, it was like a whole different thing. We had already seen where more police brutality that had happened, or kids and with the police and where they're having these interactions. Because when I was growing up, it wasn't against the law, or you didn't have these laws against carrying backpacks in the stores, for instance. By the time my son came along, you had to leave your backpack outside the store to go in the store, that type of thing. It's like,
Okay.
why do you got to do that? Or he's seen, my son is, he's taller than me. He can be seen as a threat,
Okay.
Praise God, he hasn't had any bad interactions with the police in the sense of being harmed. But yeah, we have to have that talk, how you walk, how you talk. Do you put yourself, I mean, it's sad that you got to say this to your son. Do you put yourself in a position to be seen as suspicious? Think about that statement. What are you doing? That's like telling a woman, did you put yourself in a position to get raped? Did you wear something to make you look suspicious to get raped? Did you say something? Did you lead somebody on? That's the same way the conversation is with black men. If you walk in a group, you don't walk with this group because you may get pulled over, or don't ride with so many people in your car. That was the biggest thing my dad told me about, is not having a lot of people in the car, because a lot of people in the car, you're suspected to get pulled over.
Right.
So yeah, those are the conversations. And that's, so you've never had any of those conversations. You never had to have any of those conversations.
No.
Did you ever talk to your son about your own son about conversations like that?
Nope.
Isn't that amazing?
I know. Back to this case, I think that this is clearly unfair treatment. I don't know what the officers saw about the fight that was shown on the cell phone video at first, but it looked pretty even to me. And so, separate them, deal with it, but this video didn't show him, but one of the videos I saw actually forced the black kid on the ground, like he was being pushed down
Yeah,
forcefully,
they rolled him
and
over.
that was rough, and that was
Yeah.
unfair treatment, and there should be unpaid leave, suspension, investigation. I think off of this case.
So why do you? I mean, we know why, but I'm trying to get it from a different perspective. What would make the police say, or I hear not the police, I hear people say that, which I find now was a Hispanic kid. I thought he was white. Everyone thought he was a white kid. So for those out there that saw me say the guy was white, I apologize because I'm just now got informed he was an Hispanic kid. And apparently the police thought he was white as well because the way they pulled him off. But why is it that people jump to the defense and say that this kid sat down peacefully? He had to be thrown onto the couch. He didn't get up, and he didn't get up when the police came because he didn't see the police either coming. They grabbed him and threw him on the couch. And the female cop sat there for like maybe 10 seconds, 30
And
seconds.
then went over to the black kid and helped. Yeah.
And joined in to help. Now, think about the black kid. If you play the video again, you'll notice the black kid probably didn't see the police either. So if somebody came from behind you,
no.
if somebody came from behind you and grabbed you, would you not pull away? If you're in a fight,
Yeah.
and somebody grabs you from behind, would you
Yeah.
not pull away? So for them to say that he was resisting, which I've heard a lot of people on social media say that this kid was resisting. I'm like,
No.
where did he resist?
I don't see the resisting.
I don't see it either. I mean, that's what I'm like. How can two people see the same thing and come with a different perspective? How could you see that and you say, well, the white kid was
It's
actually
unconscious
peaceful?
bias, I think.
It's unconscious bias, yes. But now that you know what unconscious bias is, how can you still see the same video and not sit back in retrospect and be like, you know what? You're right. That did look kind of suspicious. How can you still stand firm to your ground and say that you don't see anything unfair about this video? I've heard that from so many people say, no, I don't see anything wrong with that. They did that. The police did their job. The police would have done their job if they had took both boys back to the holding cell. They took the black kid to the holding cell, let the white kid go home. You know how humiliate? First of all, you handcuffed him. That's humiliating.
Yep.
Secondly, you take him away. That's humiliating. Then you
Yep.
hold him in the cell. That's humiliating.
Yeah.
And
You're
that's
right.
the major thing with police is that they do is to break the spirit of that black man. Like they broke his spirit. They broke his spirit because that's going to hurt him. That's going to live with him for the rest of his life, probably.
When I first saw this, I didn't know that they were middle schoolers, 8th grade.
Well, the Hispanic
he's an
kid was a
eighth
high
grader.
but the Hispanic kid was a high schooler.
I know. Yeah. I'm just saying he's in 8th grade, man. What are you doing? Throwing, basically arresting a 14-year-old kid, throwing him to the ground.
Why didn't the police intervene, break it up, and then start asking questions?
Yeah, exactly. That's what
I mean,
should happen.
no one had a weapon. I mean, it wasn't like, they were fighting. Kids fight all the time. It's humiliating.
And it's a mall too. I mean, they've never dealt with young people at a mall.
Well, things do get out of hand at malls. I will agree. Things can get really bad. You've had shootings at malls.
Okay. Yeah,
But
all right.
My thing is the way they grabbed the one person, the way they grabbed one kid versus how they grabbed the other kid. That's the problem. The problem is not breaking up. The problem is not someone going to jail. Okay, Joe says.
I just like to post up comments as they come in.
Yeah, where's more from Joe? This is a little example of systemic
Bria's
racism.
out there, literal example of systematic racism. She says, Joe says, when two people see the same thing but say it was different, often happens in sports. Sporting reference.
Well, yeah, I agree. But you see this in this situation, you have people right now who say that was handled properly. I think majority of our viewers think there was a problem with it, but there
how
are people.
So? I don't know how they would see that.
Let me. I'm going to we're about to break this down because I'm about to let you know what I'm talking about. And
I don't
this
know
is
how they can look at that and say that that was even treatment.
I want you to just
That that
listen
was
to the
equal treatment.
dialogue. I want you to just hear the dialogue, and I'm going to try to find this right quick as we're talking. So when you saw this, Darren, what was your initial reaction when you first saw this video? When you first laid eyes on it, first time seeing it?
I thought that the black teen was treated unfairly. I don't know what the police officers saw. So at first, I thought to myself, well, maybe they just saw a part of this and thought that the black teen was the aggressor because I couldn't explain it. I can't. I have no explanation. So that's what my reaction was. I have no explanation for why they treated these two people differently.
So I want to give you some comments here, and I want
Going
I
mad.
want I want your
Jeffrey's
reaction.
going mad. Do you have a Sharpie? Are you going to go on the screen and start circling things? Or
No, I'm not going to do the Madden thing. I'm not going to do that, but I could though. Well, I want your reaction to comments. Okay, like
Okay.
give me a reply back or your verbal. I mean, I want to break this down. And reason why I say that because we are two different people from ethnic backgrounds. I'm black, you're white. We agree on a lot of the same things. We see the world similar, but I want you to help me understand what I don't understand. That makes sense?
okay.
And I think we've done
I
a
will
good
do my
job of
best.
it.
I'll try
I think, and that's one thing about Darren. I want everybody to know this. One thing about me and Darren's relationship, I can see something one way, and he'll say, "Well, help me understand." And because it never even like I asked him about, have you ever talked to your kids about the police? He was like, no. But we've had that conversation, so we have to go deep into it. But okay, this guy says the male cop was far more. Oh, let me go back up a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't want to take too long on this, but I need to really understand this. So this guy said, why on earth? Okay, I can put my post first. Somebody said the story is dumb. That's how it starts out.
Why is it dumb?
So this guy said, why on earth do you think that is? Because it challenges your belief that confirmation bias doesn't exist in law enforcement because law enforcement says that it does. Okay. That's a good statement. This guy comes back and says, wow, that's a whole lot of assumption. Have you read anything I have posted? Did you watch the video? Now, I've watched the video several times, but I'm going to come down a little bit farther to where I step in to this conversation because that's when it got interesting.
So we're not going to divulge anyone's names except for yours.
No, I'm not going to do that. So I first come out and say the video was shared first by students who firsthand witnesses.
Right.
They also are the first people to claim racism and how the white student was treated in comparison to the black student. In actuality, why would anyone be handcuffed in that situation? That's my first comment. And then that's when they charged in on me. They're going to laugh when I say that because I mean, we're good people. We're all friends. But this guy said one kid sat down and the other kid resisted. So much. This is how he said it. One kid sat down and one kid resisted so much the other cop felt that they had to help. This is not a racism thing, in my opinion. I take all these situations individually. I do not judge it until I see it. And in this one, I'm fine with it. If the other kid had not stood up and cheered and his mother claimed racism, I doubt this would be a big story.
I would think that first of all, this thing probably happens a lot, this kind of thing, and you don't hear about it. So that's number one. Number two, I think that in general, generally speaking, white people don't question police as like minorities do. It's just a fact. It's just like, well, if the police is doing it, then there must be a reason, and he must have seen him. The woman who assisted must have assumed that he was resisting, or because I didn't see the resisting. I saw that he was clearly tackled and thrown to the ground, face first, and then a knee was put on his back. He was forced down again onto the ground. His hands were put behind his back, and then he was cuffed.
Right.
I didn't see resisting.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty quick. I didn't see the teen resisting at all. He seemed pretty helpless against the cop.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't see the resisting, but I think there's a significant portion of people out there who don't question police. They say, well, if the police is doing it, the police is right. The police is always right.
So that's
the assumption that a lot of white people have, is that the police are always white, unless it's so egregious that you just have to go the other direction.
like Derek Chauvin, for example. It was
Like
just
Derek
so
Chauvin.
egregious. It was so egregious. You just couldn't hold that one in. So they assume that the police are doing the right thing because they are the police, a person of authority. So this other lady says, well, now check this. This is so crazy. The young man with the light skin was given the opportunity to sit on the couch to watch the police brutalize the young man with the darker skin. The same guy replies back, check this out. He stopped fighting while the other one didn't. That young black man didn't continue to fight.
No, I think, this is what I think about that cop, the male cop,
Yeah.
is that it seemed like he was angry.
Yeah.
And he came in there with like, I'll show these hoodlums, I'll show these teens what's up, and to respect me or whatever, or to
Yeah.
comply. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like the cop got angry to me
Yeah.
and threw him down on the ground, put a knee on his back.
It's just crazy when I see stuff like, how could you say that kid resisted? That's what I don't see. Is it? And this is another one. Okay, John comes
That
up
is
and says,
that is what people see when they see the cop struggling with anyone. They say that the cop is in the right, and whoever it is in the wrong. That's what people see. Ask anyone if you ask white people in general, you see a struggle between cops and anyone else.
Yeah.
And automatically they're going to be on the side of the cop. They say, well, if there's a struggle between a cop and a person, their bias is that the cop is right, that the cop must have a reason.
Now, this is a question.
That's
It
what
says,
white people think.
They say, what compelled the other officer to help? What compelled the other officer to help?
I don't know.
So
I think
what I'm
she
gonna-
turned around and she saw that and she didn't know what to
did she
do,
see?
so she
Well-
helped. Maybe she's like the junior partner or something.
He was already getting handcuffed. Okay.
I know.
I mean,
I don't know.
he was already getting handcuffed by the time the other officer, and like, I want to bring it back one more time. We're going to break this down one more time, if you don't mind. Just take another look at this one. I could stop it along the way so we can
There
see
was
this.
another video where you see the white male cop being more forceful with him. This
Yeah.
one didn't show it, but go ahead.
I want to just see if we can just go a little bit into the fight part where they start fighting when the police comes to interact. Okay.
Chill. Brian, get up. Brian, leave.
Okay, right there. Was there any resistance?
No.
For all those who said resistance, I want
He's
y'all to
already
see
on the
this.
ground. He's on the ground. He's tackled.
Watch. They didn't even look back at the other kid as a threat, is what I'm saying. For all I know, that kid could have had a gun. The one they threw on the couch, he could have had a gun. Or
I know.
not.
He could have clocked him in the back of the head.
Right. So I want to bring it back one more time.
Chill. Brian, get up. Brian, leave.
No resistance. No resistance whatsoever. Now she comes. Was there any resistance when she came over there? No. That officer
Looks like he had two different ways of dealing with it. Like the female officer went to the Hispanic kid, sat him down. It looks like he was pulled down to the couch,
he
maybe.
threw him down.
And
threw him on the
then
couch.
the male officer had a different way of dealing with the other guy, with the
But
black
what he-
teen.
But what I'm saying is that the male officer could have handcuffed that kid without the assistance of that lady, the female cop.
Exactly.
You didn't need to
I
put.
don't know.
Now you got two
I don't
knees
know.
on the kid. You got
Yep.
two knees on the kid with his face to the ground.
This is like being arrested. What is he being arrested for? There's nothing
Right.
to be arrested
Look,
for.
no resistance. No resistance whatsoever. No
Oh
resistance.
no!
Now you allow the other kid to stand up over him. She's looking in his direction. Look, she's looking in
It
his
looks like
direction.
she told him to sit down and stay.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck! Yo, it's because he's black. Racially motivated.
So for all the people that said the mother was the first one to yell racism, no. The students who were right there called it first. They're
Yep.
witnessing
They
it.
see it because they see it like it is.
They see it firsthand. Another
They
thing,
see it as it is.
let me see. Well, not to mention she had the knee in his upper back neck area. True, I agree. That's dangerous. So, I mean, just that little bit we saw right there, just that little bit that we had to see just from the police interaction, there's no reason why someone should say that that kid resisted. We're watching it. We watched it again. Then you allow, look at it. The cop is standing right next to the kid. Well, I'm looking at it now on my own, but you know, when they stood up, while the lady stood up, the female cop, she's still standing right next to the kid. They're giving them all the benefit of the doubt. All the benefit of the doubt. That's what angers America right now. That's what's dividing America right now. That's why we always bring these situations up on our show. It's like we're beating our head on the brick wall to say, how the heck do you not see that? How do you not see that?
I'm looking at the comments, seeing how we're disagreeing. I don't see how you guys are disagreeing here, but
who's disagreeing now?
I don't know.
Who says?
There's people posting comments like they're disagreeing, but I don't see you guys.
Which one? Let me see. Who disagreed?
I know Joe, Jeffrey, John all seem to be on the same page. So
yeah, John came out and said, "Well, then why did the other officer have to get up?" I'm like, I don't know what you saw, John. John,
Joe,
maybe
Jeffrey,
you need
and
to
John.
maybe you need to get on the show with us, John, and we have a conversation. But I don't know what the heck you watching, dude. I literally do not know.
So John, you're disagreeing.
John's
disagreeing.
disagreeing. John was the ones whose comments I was reading from Facebook earlier. Okay, I could tell him that he's my friend. I don't think he'll get upset with me because we can have an intelligent conversation about.
So he gave permission for you to use his name. He said you can. That John says it's true. Complied the other officer to help. Then why did the other officer try to help? I'm not sure what John's saying here. So
yeah, she didn't have to help. Really, the situation was controlled. When she came over, the kid was laying peacefully on his stomach with his face in the pavement, with his hands behind his back. She didn't have to help. That's the point I'm trying to get. Why? Yeah, you tell me, John. Why did she have to help? Why did she have to put another knee in his neck? Why did she? Exactly. That's a great question.
It's as if they had a reason to arrest him, which they didn't.
They
so I
didn't
can
have
see
a
it's like,
reason
okay,
why.
we're going to arrest this guy. So help me out with this, just so make sure we get this.
As peacefully as he laid there with no resistance, they could have stood that young man up and they could have got the Hispanic kid with him. They could have sat down and said, what's going on here?
Well,
what happened?
They need some unpaid leave and
they need
sit
unpaid
down, call to the sergeant's office, internal investigations.
Well, wasn't there a reply from the police department?
There was nobody was arrested. Okay, it was excessive force. Joe's right. It's excessive force. It's teens fighting in the mall. Settle down.
Right. Wasn't there a statement though from the police department? I wanted to excuse me. There was a statement.
I didn't see that. I didn't see the statement from the
I'm looking for it now so we can have a just put it in perspective of what the police are saying. Because right now we're just giving our thoughts, but I would like to see something that the police did. I know the internal affairs are going to get involved in this.
Yeah.
But I did want to see if there was a formal statement from the police department. And in the statement, the department said they have requested the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office assist in the matter, and they are requesting patience while they adhere to the directives from the New Jersey Attorney General's Internal Affairs Directive. So that bugs me why police officers get let me give you two different scenarios right quick.
Okay.
Police usually get paid leave, right?
Yes.
Most of the time of these situations, whether it's egregious or not, whether it's all there in print, it's there. They get the benefit of the doubt and they get paid leave.
Yep.
Do you remember the young man, the FedEx driver last week, who got shot at by these two guys that were doing a copycat of the McDonald's? This is the McDonald's. The guys that killed Ahmaud Arbery. There was another copycat of that, and this young man was delivering boxes for FedEx. These men, one had a shotgun or some type of gun, and one had a truck following him and tried to trap him in. And they shot McMichaels. Thank you, Bria. They shot at this man's FedEx truck. So the FedEx truck driver swerved around the guy with the gun. He's still shooting at his car, at the truck, by the way. The guy calls his job and they tell him, come into the office. We'll talk about it.
Yes. This was a story that that happened last week. We didn't get to this, but go ahead.
Right. So, he calls the police department and they're questioning what really happened. He's like, dude, I got shot at, But
yeah, here's the bullet holes in my truck.
Right. So he goes back to the FedEx depot where the trucks are at. They come out, investigate the truck. They find out there's bullet holes in his truck. Yeah. And they find out that there's bullet holes in the packages that he's delivering. So they tell him, until we sort this out, go back on your route.
He goes on unpaid leave.
So they put him on unpaid leave.
Unpaid leave. What did he do wrong?
Unpaid leave.
For what?
Let's put these in perspective. Cops can kill you, beat you. And you could be at work. If I'm at work and I do something wrong, I get reprimanded. I can get chewed out by my supervisor. I can get suspended.
If you do something wrong, how did this guy do anything wrong?
Right. If I do something wrong. But you can also say something that's not appropriate in the workplace or do something what they call violation without even really knowing the circumstances. You're going to go home probably unpaid. You're not going to get paid to work at home while they sort things out most of the time.
Yeah, okay.
Why does that happen with police? That's another thing with the
police given the benefit of the doubt too often.
When people say defund the police, this is one of the prime examples that I think that should go up under defund the police. I'm not going into all the details of that because that's another divisive conversation. But that can go under that. That to me should go up under that category of a way of defunding the police. You should not be paying these officers to get paid at home while a crime is being investigated when the average everyday worker can't do that. They're struggling. They're at home trying to make ends meet and they're suspended while you figure it out. This guy, that FedEx driver, he has to look for another job because he can't stay off work 2-3 months while they figure this out. He ain't got time for that.
Yeah, it's hard when you apply this happened in one state and this happened in a completely different place in the country in a completely different. So it's hard. You're not gonna get equal justice as far as the FedEx driver and these cops.
No, totally different. Totally different. But we're talking about how people how they're viewed, how they're treated.
Yes,
the same thing that happened with that FedEx driver can probably happen. People got stories all over this country.
Yeah,
the same thing can happen. So, but these young men, these students, their lives are not well, especially for the young black kid. I don't even know his name. I keep calling him the black kid and the white kid. I got to stop doing that. I have to start.
Yeah, his name was on the video. But there was one thing I wanted to add in here. So there was a comment about Bria had said he's a child. He's in middle school. Jeff replied that kids that age are shooting up schools. That's true. And before I get accused of being against police, I do want to acknowledge that police do have a hard job. And
they do.
Police,
definitely.
Police have a very hard job, and it's kind of unfair to them at sometimes to make split-second decisions, and you make the wrong one. I get that. But why not err on the side of restraint? There was like you said, there's no weapon involved. So what's your danger? What's the danger to me as a police officer?
To protect
what is the danger to me?
To play the devil's advocate. Let Bria know I'm not on the police's side in this situation, but the cops didn't know who had a gun, right?
But why
The
not
co-
err on the side of
No,
restraint?
or
So
just
you're
hear me
saying
out.
that they could have had a gun. Okay.
No, the cops didn't know if anybody had
Okay.
a gun or a weapon, right?
Okay.
They didn't know that, right? When they approached that
That's correct.
scene to break
That's
up that
correct.
fight, they didn't know. But their actions gave a presumption who was more dangerous. Their actions show that with no evidence.
Here's
That's
an argument for getting guns out of society. Then, if there wasn't a presupposition, if you didn't suppose that there could be a gun, if there was less guns in society, if it were more illegal to have a gun, to carry a gun, then the police wouldn't have it in the back of their mind someone could have a gun. They were saying it's pretty unlikely that someone could have a gun. So they would have a different mindset, maybe, right?
yeah. Have you ever
No?
heard the myth or the phrase that if more black people were licensed gun carriers, that the gun laws would change a lot
Yes.
quicker?
Yeah.
They would change pretty quick. You know, I'm an advocate for guns, but I'm saying the
Well,
laws would change.
I was thinking that, well, would the police have gone in there if they knew that the black kid could have been armed and they could have been shot?
Well, they
Would
tackle
they
them
have
down.
exercised more restraint because of a gun? Would they exercise more
No.
restraint because someone
No.
had a gun or because no one had a gun and they know
If
they
that
could get
kid-
away with it?
If that kid
Which
had
way
a
is it?
gun on him, if that kid had a gun, he would have got shot and killed. If he was going to use it or not. If they just saw him with a gun in his hand pointing it at the ground, he would have got shot.
Yes.
Just flat out. But I mean, I'm not even that's a whole different scenario that we're taking it to a whole nother direction. But my thing is the mentality of the police officer. That's why I asked that. That's why I mentioned posed the question
Okay.
to agree to find out that the cops didn't know if anyone was armed. They didn't know which
Right.
one was armed,
Right.
but their actions showed that the black guy was more aggressive. That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's the bias that sits within the police departments. And
Mhm.
the thing about it though, it's not always a white cop either. It could be a black cop. It could be a Mexican cop. It could be a any kind of Asian cop. The whole thing is that within the police department, there's this mentality or this assumption that black person is
It's
going to
more
be
dangerous.
is more dangerous. And we've seen through our history that's not the case always. That's not the case. Heck, we just watched a whole bunch of them destroy a whole freaking Capitol building in one day. And it wasn't black people. So, and what it said, and he was the little guy. Yeah, and he was a little guy, right? He was the little guy and younger guy, But we can go on and on.
I
with
feel
that
sorry.
conversation.
I feel bad for that kid. I feel bad for the kid.
So think about it.
But
What is
there's a lot
America
of-
going to do about it?
What's that?
Think about it. What is America going to do about it? If we can't
Well-
handle our own issues here in our country like this, what the heck are we going to do with the Olympics with people on dope and allowed to go back and skate? What are we going to do, man?
Well, speaking of feeling sorry for a young person, I feel sorry for this Russian skater because I think she's the victim in this. Obviously, here's the thing: like when it came out, people were I think, calling her the villain, and now all of a sudden, like after the long program, and she fell and she had this emotional moment. Now now they say that she's the victim. No, she was the victim before that. She was a victim. She shouldn't have been skating because now she's going to be tarnished. If she tries to go back to skating, she's going to be forever tarnished by this.
Yeah.
She should have been protected. There's people around her that should have prevented anything like this from happening. So as soon as they found out that she had a negative or a positive test, the Russian Olympic Committee or whatever they are should have informed the Olympics, and she should not have been allowed to skate. Instead,
Right.
they did not inform them. And then this arbiter case allowed her to skate. And she shouldn't have been allowed to skate because it put her in this position to fail.
Yeah. What was she taking?
It was a
What
no-win
was it?
situation.
Now, she took a medication that was for heart patients.
Apparently the story is that it was a mistake somehow. It said that according to her camp, that it was her grandfather's heart medicine. Which, if that's the case, I don't think it's intentional.
How does she take it?
Exactly. So I don't even know how in the world she would have
Well,
taken
she
it.
was given medication that had this chemical in it.
Yeah, she was given some medications for that were legal, and then this one thing was not. She says it was her grandfather's medication. I don't know if I believe that, but
No,
it is
but
what it is.
but that didn't come out at first like that. They said she took a medication, or they gave her medication, or
Yeah, they gave her some medications. Apparently, in her system, there were 3 different heart medicines, and one of them is illegal.
yeah,
Aren't
and
Russian
it's
Olympic
performance
athletes
enhancing. It's performance enhancing. That chemical is a performance enhancing drug that's in that chemical.
the one that was banned? Yes,
Yeah. So it
there's a
doesn't
reason
matter
why
how,
it's banned. Yeah,
but it doesn't matter how you got it. It
it
doesn't matter
shouldn't
if it was an
matter how you
accident.
got it. If it was by mistake, we've seen athletes get banned from events because they did something by mistake.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
In the Olympics, in the Tour de France, things like that. Yes, the Russians athletes are by default already considered juiced up. It started in Sochi in 2014, and that the reason why they were competing as the ROC, the Russian Olympic Committees,
Yeah.
they can't compete as Russia,
Yeah.
but we all know that they're Russians. But so they were already doing some shady things, and this just puts a cherry on top of it. So
Yeah.
um, I think they should be probably banned from the next Olympic Games, and they need to do some soul searching. That coach, I think she's suspect. The way that her other skaters reacted after the performance on Thursday, I think that there's a lot of things going on there that are not healthy at all. So
Do you think that time frame? You see how long they took? This happened on Christmas Day, the 25th, is
yeah,
when her sample was collected, and it wasn't reported until February 8th.
exactly.
It's like that a doping case usually gets pushed through pretty quick in the Olympics. You find the results of that pretty quick.
And I don't know what was up with the independent arbiters that allowed her to skate. I don't know why they would do that. They would put her in a bad situation. The
Yeah.
better thing would for her sake would to prevent her from skating.
Yeah. They said that they called it a cocktail that she had. I'm not sure like if it was people are saying it's a lame excuse for cheating, in drugs and sports, but I'm looking here and it's a performance enhancing substance. She ingested the drug unknowingly, which we don't know who takes her grandfather's heart medicine. They said perhaps she drank from the same glass as him. Really? Oh, I just happened to smell the smoke from the other guy that was smoking in front of me. I just inhaled it, and it tainted my my urine sample. I'm like, what the heck? And so
That is pretty lame. I mean,
and
and
check
if
this
that's
out
true,
also.
then it's too bad because it's probably pretty in the grand scheme of things probably didn't make any difference. But
And
the
that,
other, go ahead.
I'm saying that information about her taking it from her grandfather's glass came from a Russian businessman. His run site, a website run by an exiled Russian businessman. Just to give you a little bit of light on that story right there. That Russia's known for controlling the media, right? Their own media.
Yeah.
So they jump right in on
can
that.
we just say that? I mean, Russia is basically the Soviet Union.
Same thing.
It's the same. I mean, what's the difference from what
Nothing.
they used to be
Nothing.
before the wall fell and the Soviet Union fell apart? Now they're a little bit smaller. They call themselves Russia. They have a president instead of a premier or whatever,
Yeah.
and they supposedly have elections, although they're rigged.
Yeah. Because you go to
There's
jail.
There's a bunch of shady stuff that goes on in Russia.
You can
We
go
all
to
know
jail,
it.
if you go against.
They're looking to invade other countries. Or what's the difference between Russia and the Soviet Union?
Yeah, nothing. They're the same, man. So, what do you think is going to happen going forward with this?
I think people are going to forget about the Olympics in a couple of months, and then you won't hear about it. And I think the next time that the Winter Olympics come up, or the next time, then you'll start hearing about it again, because then you'll probably have a whole new batch of Russian skaters.
She's
And they'll probably
15.
yeah. I'd be surprised if any of these young Russian skaters, there's 3 of them, if they were to skate again. But we'll see.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think she's done, man.
I think she is too. I think she is too. I mean, it's hard to see emotionally to come back from this, because everyone's gonna, like I say, everyone's gonna look at her like a cheater now. So
Now, if she had gotten accused for this, or she didn't take anything, and somehow her labs were, you know, switched, or something illegal happened, I can see her fighting this to prove her point.
mhm.
But I think, like I said, because of her age, and to know that if she comes back, she'll be looked at as a cheater.
Yeah,
Because the question is going to be, how many times have you taken drugs before?
yeah,
If she
and it
was
just
in
wasn't
another
caught.
country, if she was in another country, if she represented another country, I think this would have been handled differently.
Yeah,
I,
if she would, well, Sakari Richardson had a positive test for marijuana, and she
right.
was prevented from running in the Summer Olympics
Yeah.
just 8 months ago. So, and the reason why is because the U.S. did the right thing, even though that THC is not a performance enhancer. So that's
Yeah.
another issue as to should marijuana even be a banned substance,
Yeah.
because it's legal in some states and it doesn't give you a performance edge. Some
Yeah.
people say it does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy that. But anyways, that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. But so people are looking at Sha'Carri Richardson and looking at this case. Well, one was able to compete, one was able to not compete. Is it because of race? Maybe.
Mhm.
Some of it has to do of what country it is. And Russia
Yeah.
looks to cheat, and most
Yeah.
other countries don't. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. They have a history of it. They have a history of
Mhm.
cheating all the time. So it's just time to
It's too
man.
bad for Sha'Carri, because she would probably would have won the gold.
Oh yeah. Sad, man.
Just like this
What
girl
do
would
you
have
do?
probably won the gold.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she was on track to,
Sad.
so it's too bad. What do you want to talk to? Where do you want
I
to
want to
go?
know why the NFL is not going to investigate the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, man.
Who says they're not? You don't think they will?
It says right there is the settlement has been settled already.
Oh, the Cowboys settled it, but the
Yeah.
NFL, I don't think the NFL has done
The
anything.
NFL will not be opening an investigation into the events surrounding the Dallas Cowboys' $2.4 million confidential settlement with 4 members of their cheerleading
Confidential.
squad who accused a now former team executive of voyeurism in their locker
Uh-huh.
room in 2015.
It's not confidential anymore.
I'm just telling you what the article is reading. I'm reading the
Okay,
article.
okay.
I'm just giving this ESPN. I'm just giving you the article. Now, the question is this: why?
Because it's Jerry Jones and money. Because
Exactly.
we don't want to stain America's team. Come on,
Exactly.
come on.
Jerry's money.
If we're the Browns, maybe, or I don't know, the Seahawks, maybe.
No, I don't think any team is. I mean, look how long it's taking for them to investigate the Washington Commanders. Look how long this is taking. They
It's
investigated
hard to
so
say
much.
that. Washington
Think about
Commanders.
it. Think about this. They've investigated so much about the Washington Commanders, the Washington football team at the time, that they investigated so much that they found dirt on John Gruden, and he wasn't even under
Not even on the
investigation.
team, not even associated with the team.
Wait, he wasn't even under investigation.
I know.
So,
Well, that's another thing. Well, that story just kind of went away. It's like, wait a minute, you were
Well,
investigating the Washington team,
well, I
and
heard
then
that
all of a
Snyder.
sudden, all this other stuff comes on. Are you going to go back to the Washington team or not? It's like, oh, they're okay now, or what?
Well, I did hear something about they're trying to get Snyder to sell the team now. Something of that nature.
Really?
I heard something about that.
Okay.
I'm looking it up now.
Why?
Results. Let me see. I did hear something about that. The Washington Commanders owner Daniel Snyder must be forced to sell the team after these allegations. The owner, Daniel Snyder, and the Washington Commanders were once again placed under a microscope on Thursday, stemming from widespread allegations of workplace misconduct. That was on February 3rd.
Okay.
So it's still there. I got another one from the Washington Football Wire.
I mean, one of the reasons why it's not as sexy as cheerleaders. People say, "Oh, that's going to get headlines." You're like workplace misconduct. People's eyes glaze over.
Yeah, but there was sexual harassment over there too. There was sexual harassment with the Commanders also.
There was.
There was workplace misconduct with. They were saying it was racism. They said it was sexism. All these different things.
Okay.
Let me see.
They got to get specific if they want things to stick, though.
Yeah, but they mentioned a lot of stuff. But there's players. There's too many people that came out about the Washington team. Too many people came out with testimonies with that stuff. And then we still haven't heard the all the names that were involved with the John Gruden situation. We haven't even heard of all the names that were included with that. So money makes a difference. The money is what's keeping us, remember, the owners own the NFL, not Goodell. The owners own it.
Goodell's the puppet of the owners. He's the front man for they put him out there in front of the press.
So here's some more information. You were saying it'd be something on the road. This is what I hear here. Okay. This is from Football Talk. The claims from former Washington employee Tiffany Johnston could be the last straw for the Commanders and owner Daniel Snyder's business partners. Now, what did she say? I'm just curious to see, what did she say? Have you heard anything about her? Tiffany Johnston? There's something that she said. I'm looking for it now. Okay, here we go. The John Gruden emails is one. But it's the claims made by former Washington employee Tiffany Johnson that have changed everything. Okay. The league will conduct a new investigation. There will be no reason to keep any information hidden since Johnson already has told her story publicly. Washington tried to preemptively hire a pair of firms to handle the investigation before the league intervened and made it clear that the team won't be investigating itself. The biggest pending question is whether the NFL will bring Wilkerson back for phase 2 of the probe. If that happens, it's bad news for Snyder. But it doesn't say what this Tiffany lady said, so we got to look up into that. We'll probably bring you more of that story later. They said they want to reinvestigate her claims. So we got to see what she actually said because I'm not familiar with it.
Well, if they don't want to investigate themselves, someone has to.
But so many people came out with this. And remember, there's been no settlement. The Dallas Cowboys made a settlement. Usually when you make a settlement, they kind of sweep it under the rug and they try to let the news stay silent. They don't want you to know what happened. They don't want you to know what's going on. Okay. That doesn't mean that these cheerleaders won't talk later that will still damage the Cowboys later. Reputation, embarrassment will cause you to sell a team out of embarrassment. And that's what they're going to end up doing with, the NFL doesn't want any embarrassment, anything that make them look bad. So they're going to make Snyder sell eventually. Just like they're going to make, what's the guy down in Miami? He's going to eventually sell his team.
You think?
I think so. If it gets ugly,
since the owners control the league, who's going to make them? Who's going to make
other owners?
The other owners going to say, "Hey, guess what, guy?
Yeah,
it's time. It's time."
This is not the first time. It's a lot of times they want to keep dirt hidden, so they'll sell the team. They close all that. They close that door. They don't want to embarrass the league.
Okay.
It's gonna be some change. It's gonna be slow change in the NFL. I mean, I get heat all the time because speaking of NFL, I'm gonna get your opinion about this. What do you think about Loretta Lynch defending the NFL in the Brian Flores case?
I don't know much about that. I'm sorry. Help me out.
Loretta Lynch is the attorney for the NFL. She represents the NFL in this case.
Okay.
Loretta Lynch, the first Black female attorney general for the United States government.
Okay.
She defended him, but she also, the thing about it that people forget, I mean, this is for the Black community. They're like calling her a sellout. But those same people, I could guarantee you, most of them didn't realize that she was also the defense attorney for the NFL during the CTE investigations. She was the one that helped negotiate the $1 billion settlement that paid former players as well as current players who are dealing with CTE and other mental health issues and brain injuries.
Okay.
The thing about it is that people look at her defending the NFL like she's there to get them off of something. Sometimes you need a person to come in and help you settle a situation. The settlement doesn't resolve any guilt or anything, but what it does is to make it best for both ends.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that think about it from this perspective also.
And it makes it go away.
It makes it go away, but that's not just making it go away. Loretta Lynch is too wise of a person to put herself in a situation as a sellout, for one. Who better? The NFL has this reputation of being a racist organization, correct? They're known to be a sexist organization, right?
Yeah.
Who's better? Okay, let me come back and forth a little bit. The NFL is yet to make change in policy to correct the issues they have already, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have not corrected things. They're the same good old boy system as always been. Who's better to help the NFL change policies that better fit what we need today than a person who's probably been a victim of the same things they're being accused of today? The NFL is accused of being racist and they're accused of being sexist. Who's better than a black woman to show the NFL these are the
we're not
things
racist.
Well, no, not just saying you're not racist. You don't have to say you're racist. What you need is a change in policies. That if you could change policy to correct the issue that's causing you problems, you can move forward. You're going to come out of your pocket, but there's policy being changed.
Okay.
And I go back to the CTE issue. The CTE issue was that minority players were not getting the benefit of white players with mental health and CET issues. They were basically being kicked out the way. That was the issue. Loretta Lynch came in. The issue got exposed. They corrected the CTE issue, from what I understand, and players got compensated.
They put a Band-Aid on the CTE issue.
Well, I'm not going to say a Band-Aid. What I'm saying is that you're now moving forward with that. But the issue wasn't to cure CTE. The issue at hand was the improper use of the funds to compensate for CTE. That was the issue. So the correction that was made was policy was changed so that all players can benefit from the funding from CTE. And the players that were discriminated against are now being paid. Do you see what I'm saying? So if that was another white attorney, if that was a white male attorney, this would not have been settled.
Probably not.
It wouldn't have been $1 billion.
Probably not.
It wouldn't have been the corrective changes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
No, you're right.
Because that attorney would have had empathy to those white owners.
Okay.
Where Loretta Lynch could come in and say, well, I don't empathize with you because I don't understand your perspective. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I got to show you how to correct your issues. That's how I look at it with her. And I hope she does a good job, because if not, it will ruin her reputation if she blows it.
Well, the NFL is a no-stick league, so it doesn't matter what. It seems like it almost doesn't matter. Even we see this in the last couple of months. So Brian Flores was fired after a winning season. He comes out with these bombshell accusations, and other people like Hugh Jackson join him. Bad news for the NFL, right? That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? The Super Bowl happened. Everyone is watching the NFL. It doesn't seem to matter. Players get brain injuries. Okay. Remember, what was it, 5-10 years ago? That was a big thing. All of a sudden, it's like all this research was being done for brain injuries. They had that Will Smith movie come out. A lot of attention was being given to. Should the NFL be doing more? Should we be encouraging our kids to play football? This and that. That was a big hit to the NFL. But they're still strong as ever. Cheerleader scandals, Dan Snyder, all kinds of things. Nothing sticks to it. Nothing sticks to the shield. It's Teflon.
Do you think it would change if the players were united? Think about
Yes.
this.
Without the players, then the owners would bend the knee.
If the players, if say 70% of the black players would have unified with Colin Kaepernick in 2016, some of the racial issues in the NFL would have changed by now.
Mm-hmm.
There was no solidarity amongst the black players. There weren't. They may have agreed with Colin Kaepernick, but they didn't show the actions because they were fearful of losing their jobs. They were fearful of not playing. All these fears are real. I'm not taking away from that. All you need a majority of your star players who control. There are star players that have leverage because of their stardom, because of their And if you look at
the NBA, their stars are leveraging their influence and power more than the NFL. The NFL uses their players with. I mean, we don't hear about the players that are like the second string offensive linemen whose average career in the NFL is 5 years.
Yeah.
Isn't it five? It's 5 years, right?
Like 3 or 4 years.
And what,
really.
90% of them are not household names. We don't know who they are. These are the guys that are going to have knee issues at 50, that are barely walk, and that are going to start going to have cognitive problems because they got hit in the head.
Well, that's the difference with the NFL, because NBA players can play 10, 15 years, where that pro football player, like I said, only play 3 to 4 years. So they can't risk standing up for social issues.
Exactly. They don't have power. They don't have that power. But if the star players think about your star players, they need to stand up. They do.
They need to be unified. If you had your star black
athletes, do you think that Tom Brady was going to do that?
No, I don't. I'm not looking for Tom Brady to do it.
That.
If you took majority of your star black players, the ones that your team can't afford to lose, your Hopkins, Kyler Murray's, they did the video, that little video with all the quarterbacks came together. But we need all your players to be unified to get some change in the NFL. That's the difference. If you don't have that, it's not going to work. NBA players, they unify and they talk about things off the court, because there's only 5 players, 5 starters that stay with a team, and they rotate all your back, your bench players.
Yes.
They change around teams all the time. But your NFL players, the career isn't that long, but they have to be unified, man. That's the only way that's going to work. Even with Brian Flores right now, if they're not unified with Brian Flores publicly and speak out on this, it's not going to be change. It's going to be checkbox change. That's it. Yeah, Ali stood up for change. Yes, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar stood up for change. But those were individuals. But the thing about to show you the most famous picture in the world, Ali with the sports greats. That was in Cleveland, Ohio, by the way. When Ali was getting.
Do you think some of it has to do with the fact that football players have a helmet on and you can't see their face?
It could be.
So they're kind of like anonymous names out there.
It could be.
Because in basketball, you see them. You see their face. In baseball, you see their face.
This is what we don't have today. I want to show you this picture. This is what we don't have today, and this is what's hurting the NFL in regards to black players. This is, if I can get it to pop up a little bit. This is what's hurting this is what's hurting the league, and it's very important that people understand this. And it can't be focused around money. If it's focused around money, and it's easy for me to say that, who's not an athlete, not a professional athlete. I just had this picture, bro. Anyway, I want to bring the picture up here.
Okay.
But it's this is what's missing. This type of solidarity. You ever seen that picture?
Yes, I have seen this picture. I did.
That was in
yes.
1962. And all these guys came together for the defense of the speak on behalf of Muhammad Ali. You have Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell. These were icons. These were the legendary. These were like
They were the best,
the
of their time.
best at that
Yes.
time. They didn't allow money, the fame, or the fear of losing their position on the team to interfere with defending somebody or speaking on behalf of somebody that they loved and cared about. That's the difference with sports today. You don't have that solidarity in that capacity. This is what made, even though Ali lost his title, he went to jail, all those things happened. But did you see how he was able to recover and come back?
Yeah.
Michael Vick came back, but he didn't come back to the capacity he was when he left. Yeah. And I'm not saying I defend Michael Vick and what he did, but what I'm saying is that the league allowed him to come back, but solidarity amongst your colleagues is what helped you get back into the game, is what I'm saying. A lot of people disagree with Ali. People that were in the sports world disagreed with Ali. They thought he was wrong. He was humiliated. They tried to tear him down. These are your own colleagues in the same sport you play tore him down. So what I'm saying is that he had other brothers that come together and pick him and lift him up. Though because of how great they were, is what helped his legacy propel when he came out of jail. That helped him because
and they're still active today. Jim Brown, Kareem,
exactly.
Still,
they all are. Bill Russell,
still active.
Bill Russell
in civil rights.
Bill Russell did not take the all NBA rings like for being like the best players. He was given these accolades. He did not accept them because of the discrimination in sports and basketball. That was from his own words. I heard him on The Shop on HBO speaking about this, and he acknowledged all that. He said, "Yeah, because he played in Boston. He was saying there was a lot of racism going on."
Jeff makes a good point. I think that comparatively nowadays, there's so much money at stake that players don't want to rock the boat. Players will play ball. Literally,
that's what we're talking about.
Players are going to play ball. They might keep their mouth shut because, hey, I can get paid.
They stay shut until it happens to them. When it happens to them, then they want everybody to have their side. That's the same thing. That's the same thing in society. I could complain about something that's happened to me. I could complain about something happening to me, and people are like, "Well, it just happened to you." But as soon as it happens to another person, then they're like, "Oh, wow, this happened to me." So
it reminds me that, not to change completely topics, but it just still burns me. Is like a lot of Marjorie Taylor Greene talks a lot about this, how mistreated the Capitol rioters are in prison. And I'm like, well, what did you think prison was like? It's just because now you have white people in prison that you care about it.
A bunch of them at one time.
Anyways.
No, but that's a good example.
As soon as it happens to you or people that look like you, then all of a sudden it's a problem. It wasn't a problem for years when you could send black men to prison, many of whom were innocent.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Well, that's the difference. That's the difference also. And that's one thing I posted somewhere else. They were saying how these people they're being treated unfairly by the court system. They're doing unjust time. And I said, well, until one of these people are giving unjust time for not committing a crime, we can have this conversation. But they committed a crime. There's people in prison. We just got a guy that just got out recently, Vincent Simmons, for 44 years. What did he do? Well, I don't even know. I don't even know the whole story on Vincent Simmons.
The story was that supposedly he raped twin girls, and this is an interesting story. We're running out of time. We're over time. But anyways, he was sentenced 44 years in the Louisiana State Penitentiary. There was facts about the trial that made it conclusively that it was not a fair trial. Basically, about the witnesses and physical evidence about had they been raped at all. He maintained his innocence for all these years, judge after judge after judge throughout his appeal, until finally this month, a judge listened to it and said, "You know what? You're right." And throughout the conviction, and he was set free.
Have we heard?
What's interesting about it is that the twin girls were there in the courtroom and agreed with letting him out, even though they still maintain that it was him that raped them. He was sentenced for 100 years in prison. So he was let go. He's in his 70s, and good story. And actually, he's very humble, very gracious. He doesn't blame anybody. He doesn't.
You know why that
hate.
is?
He doesn't hate anybody. He doesn't have a resentment against the twin girls. Anyways, so it was just a good story this week.
Why do you think that? Like you say, he was humble and he doesn't blame anybody. Why do you think that
he seemed to be at peace? Because so many years, you would have had to make peace somehow. So
yeah, I just Googled something.
Vincent Simmons.
Yeah, he never thought he was getting out. You had to make peace with it.
Yeah, that's why.
I put in this this question in Google. I said, "How many innocent white people sent to prison?" I can't even find any link. Now, the first link says race and wrongful convictions. The next link says race and ethnicity, prison policy initiative. The next one says black people are 7 times more likely than white. I don't see anything that says
that gives you a number or percentage, nothing.
I'm just looking for a white person who went to jail who served time in prison for being innocent. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm sure it does. But I don't see anybody that had to serve like 20 plus years. And that was just a Google search. That's how rare that it is. You can go
that's a good case study there.
I mean, really, just think about it. I mean, everyone they show, Rashard Phillips, black man. There's so many other, but they all are black guys that have been sent to prison unjustly for decades. But the question was, how many innocent white people sent to prison? But it's telling you all the black people that went to prison. That's showing you Google. Remember,
someone out there do some deep diving.
See, Google goes by keywords.
Find one story for us. Find one story of a white person being wrongfully convicted, and actually they made a movie about it, didn't they? With The Fugitive.
But think about this one. Check this out. I did it again, so I rephrased it a bit. I put like a better sentence in it. How innocent white people sent to prison with a period right there. Guess what the first link is? Race and wrongful convictions in the United States.
Right.
And this from 2017. It says African Americans in prison for murder more likely to be innocent if they were convicted of killing a white victim. That's the only thing with the word white in it. And I Googled a specific statement. And like I said, it's keywords, right?
Yeah.
Because I had the word white in it.
Yeah.
The first link with white was being the victim. That's hilarious, man. That is hilarious. That's how rare that it is.
And that's how the internet works too.
I'm just going to I know we're about to get off the air right quick, but I'm going to just take the word white out. And I want to put black. Just that one word. Same things come up, but it comes back after that. 8 facts you should know about the racial injustice. African American wrongful convictions throughout history. The study of black people are 7 times more likely than white. Criminal justice fact sheet.
Well, If it's 7 times more likely, there has to be some white people, right?
Somebody, you know.
There's got to be some stat to times by 7, right? There's got to be some number that's times by 7.
I mean,
7
you
times
know,
more likely. So there is white people then.
so here it is. Researchers have analyzed the years of exonerations. African Americans, only 13% of the American population, with majority of the innocent defendants. I'm looking for people in particular. And I don't see, they don't name like not one person. This is
Okay.
from Vox. All it gives you is a bunch of stats, but it doesn't tell
Yeah,
you
Fox
how
is like that.
many, they don't show you how many people, any names, any cases, any examples.
Yep.
So that's something to study. So,
Some homework.
Leanne, where's Leanne at? She's good at researching stuff.
So homework for somebody out there. We find a story of a white person wrongfully convicted. Shawshank Redemption. Exactly, when they make a movie about it.
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption, The
Yeah.
Fugitive.
But we don't have, we haven't seen any cases that like stood the time of history where it's like, this is what happened. So if a white man serves 40 plus years in prison, most likely they were guilty. Would you agree?
Yes. It's less likely that it's more likely that a judge is going to hear the case.
It's sad that we even having this discussion. I'm wishing
Bria
you the
never
best.
saw Shawshank Redemption. Can you believe
That was pretty good. Yeah.
Why don't you
With
sit her
Morgan
down?
Freeman? Morgan Freeman and was that Kevin Bacon? Or who's that in that with him?
My God, I picture his face, but now I can't. It was filmed right here in Mansfield.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
amazing.
not all of it, but most of it. Yeah.
Okay.
They had the 25th anniversary of the filming. It was a couple of years ago, and they had a bunch of places that you could go and visit, like where this was shot and this is shot, and like the apartment scene where some of the when they were first released.
Right.
The where Morgan Freeman worked in that grocery store. That's an actual grocery store.
Is it still open?
It was filmed at the penitentiary, so
That's
yeah,
right,
it's
man.
still open. Yeah, there's a big mural on the wall that tells, hey, this was
Wow.
shot from the film. Yeah, but
That's
it's a real
amazing.
store.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you ready for your week, man?
Yeah.
I'm going to close out with a good story, man.
Okay.
This is hilarious. I'm 52 years old, right? And I think
Tim Robbins,
yeah. I think I'm starting to lose my memory a little bit. I think I am. So Thursday, I had a Thursday afternoon. I locked my keys in the car, right?
Okay.
I'm like, dang it, lock my keys in the car. Get my keys out. Yesterday, did a little bit of shopping after work. Go to the barbershop. I walk in the barbershop, and I'm like, dang, I forgot my phone. So I go back to my car and realize I don't have my key. I'm like, did I leave my key in the car? I think I left my key in the car. And this is only for us on the show. No one else could tell this story no more, okay? This is just for us. What stays on the bottom line, what happens in the bottom line stays in the bottom line.
Except that it's now out there on the internet. So
no, it's on the this is our crew, the bottom line crew. Everybody who visits the show, this is for y'all, not everybody else. So anyway, the barber's telling me, he says, if you left your keys in the car, call the fire department. They're right across the street. They'll come help you out. So I call the fire department. The guy comes in, he gets the big thing in there, gets my doors unlocked. We go in the car, and I'm looking all over my car, and I cannot find my key. I'm checking my pockets. I'm checking everywhere. I'm like, where's my key? We look up under the truck. The fireman accused of banging the next driver next to me, his door with my car. It's like, it was crazy. And I'm like, what the heck happened? So I'm looking around for this key, man. So another barber comes out. We open the back of my truck. We're looking he's on one side, the passenger side. I'm on the driver's side. We're looking, we're like tearing my truck up.
Okay.
He looks at me, right? He says, Lamar, don't tell me that's your key hanging out of your pocket. You know how on your jeans you have that little top pocket above your pocket, the little bitty one?
Yeah.
I never used that pocket. The chain,
except for now.
The ring was hanging out of that pocket. Dude, I called the fire department to get my car open.
Well, it's not the first time that's happened for the fire department. They're probably like, yeah, okay.
But how many people have their key on them at the time? The fireman don't even know the story.
It probably happens pretty often. I mean,
Dude,
come on. You imagine somebody calls it, oh, I'm sorry, my keys are in my purse. You know that happens.
I don't even remember putting the key in that pocket. Did I tip the major? No, he was gone already, actually. He had left. So I'm gonna go to the fire department tomorrow. On Monday. I'm like, I made a mistake, dude.
So those of you out there got an exclusive story, being fans of the Bottom Line. So there you are.
Yeah,
there's the exclusive story.
Okay, y'all. This is the end of our show. We had a great day, man. It was an awesome conversation. I want to thank everybody for checking out. And Jeff said you probably went out in the front pocket and got stuck in that useless little out in your front pocket and got stuck in that useless little What is that? You gotta let me understand what you're saying, man. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna catch y'all next week.
What is that little pocket for?
Oh, man, I have no idea, dude.
Why do they? What is it for?
Oh, he said out equals put.
You can't even put a quarter. You can't even put a quarter in it.
You know what? When I was filling my pockets, I'm filling down near my thighs because that's where my pockets go down to. You know what I'm saying? You're filling down near the top of your thigh, and I'm like, it's empty. And I didn't realize that little bitty pocket.
Because it's up here. You don't feel it. You don't feel up here. You feel down here. Yeah, exactly. I feel you.
He said pocket watches. That's Joe said pocket watches, huh?
But a pocket watch don't fit in a little pocket.
I don't know, man. Maybe the chain just goes in, the watch hangs out. I don't know. But it jacked me up yesterday, man. Oh, he said it used to be larger. Ancient Wild West timepieces. Okay. Well, it jacked me up yesterday. I spent a whole 40 minutes looking for that dang key.
Thanks for helping out Lamar with his
yeah, thank you for letting me know what that thank you all for letting me know what that little bitty pocket was used for.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, I meant to put
pocket
it in my
watches are pretty big. That's not going to fit in my little pockets that I have in my jeans.
Yeah. Anyway, anything planned for the weekend?
I got a pocket watch, and it's not going to fit in my little pocket. So
what you got planned for the weekend, Darren?
Not much. Okay. Nothing exciting.
I'm directing video all weekend, man, for church. So
okay,
it's gonna be all day. Well, all
it's
this
gonna be
evening, the same service 4 times. Once tonight, 3 times tomorrow. Yeah, man. I gotta direct video. I'm working the video switcher. So
thanks to everyone out there for being such a fan and watching and share, subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you so much. And we're gonna be out. I'm gonna put on the video.